Hi, welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't viewed any of my previous videos, I would love it if you would go back and look at them. And yeah, I'm going to talk today about, I'm going to continue it kind of from the last video where I talked about the wedding. And today in this video, I'm going to talk about the honeymoon and maybe a little bit after the honeymoon. So, there's popular honeymoon destinations and people go all kinds of different places. And that's wonderful. And you should go wherever you want to go, you and your husband. Whether you fly, whether you drive, whether you go on a cruise, who knows? So I'm going to tell you what we did. And maybe it's something that you would want to consider. Maybe not. So we didn't have anything specific lined up other than we were going to drive somewhere. We had no destination in mind, really. I had never gone very far west. We live in the Midwest, but I'd never really gone west. I'd been in the South. Well, I guess I haven't gone that far east either, other than probably Tennessee. So we just started heading west, and we ended up in South Dakota, ultimately. And we went to Mount Rushmore and some different things. So why am I telling you this? Because not having plans, I think we had a great time. Now, some people are planners. I actually, in real life, I guess our honeymoon was real life, but normally I am a planner. I need to know what's going on. I want to get the most out of whatever we do. I need to know. But in this instance, and maybe I was more relaxed about it back then when we didn't have a child. I did change a lot once we had a child because I felt the responsibility of raising a child. So it was just fun to just do what we wanted to do, no real plan, and we just enjoyed ourselves. And maybe that's something that you should consider. If you're normally a person that has to have everything planned out, maybe just taking some time to relax and just do whatever you come across that looks like fun. I mean, literally, I had not looked at anything to the west. I had no idea what sightseeing things might be along the way, but we found several things to do that I just did not even know existed. So then after we got back from our honeymoon, I think we were gone 5 days. We got back from our honeymoon. My husband had to go back to work, I think the next day. I can't remember. Maybe we got back on a Friday and he went back Monday. I don't remember for sure. I had an extra day or two off before I had to go back to work. So what did I do on those days? Well, before I went back to work, I wrote out all of our thank yous for our wedding gifts. And that's something I really want you to think about. A lot of people don't seem to do thank yous nowadays. I don't know about so much for weddings. We haven't really gone to any weddings. We've been invited to some, but they were out of state. We couldn't go. We sent gifts, never have gotten a thank you. Now, I don't know if this is just something people don't do anymore, or if it was just the people that we were involved with don't do it. But ladies, send thank yous. It really means a lot. If you text somebody a thank you, that's better than nothing. But handwriting a thank you, especially if it's an older person in your life, they really appreciate it. Like your grandparents are going to really appreciate it. So you're married, you're back from your honeymoon, you've gone back to work. I would say before you have children, providing you don't already, spend a lot of time getting to know your husband. I mean, this might seem like a simple thing, like a duh. I don't think it is, though. I think a lot of people just almost go back to their normal life, except for they do have a husband. The husband has the wife. But this is your time to really kind of spoil your husband And I know a lot of women don't like to hear that. That's not what maybe people are being taught now. But ladies, your husband's going to want to be spoiled. He's going to appreciate that. Now, he needs to treat you right too. Hopefully you married somebody that will treat you right. So I'm not saying, obviously you just got married, so hopefully there's nothing majorly wrong with the marriage already. Yeah, enjoy that time before you have kids, because once you have kids, life does change. And it changes for many years, especially depending how many kids you have. It may last a lot more years, and you don't want to end up, once your kids are grown, you don't want to end up strangers. So obviously there's many years there where you have to work on your marriage. And a lot of people just get so busy. There's so many things to get involved with, so many things your kids can get involved with, and you run in different directions. And, 18 years later or however many years later, when your first kid or your last kid leaves home, you're sitting there looking at your husband, or he's looking at you, and you're almost strangers. Don't let that happen. Start the marriage intentionally. Spend time together. Your life should change. You shouldn't just continue to be hanging out with your friends. I'm not saying never hang out with your friends, but your husband needs to be your top priority. And you set that standard before there are children. It's going to be easier. And if you already have that standard set, I believe it will be easier to continue it after there are children. Sometimes children do complicate things, not necessarily between you and your spouse, but other family dynamics that may have an effect on your marriage, even if you don't want them to. So I think it's very important. If you don't know, or if your husband, what you think is spoiling, if he doesn't respond in the way that you think he should, ask him what he would like for you to do to take care of him. This is about loving our husbands better. And so sometimes we need to check in with them to find out what love is to them, what shows them love. Some people would maybe call that the love languages. It would probably fall under that. We do love different. My husband and I definitely have what is called different love languages. And he is good at what his love language is. He is good at showing me that, but that's not what speaks love to me. And what my primary love language is what is easy for me to do for him. And that's not primarily his love language. So you don't end up feeling the love as much if it's not your primary way you feel love. Like his is words of affirmation. I really struggle with that. Words of affirmation is not, everybody likes to hear words of affirmation, I would say, but that's not really what speaks love to me. Mine is gifts, and it's not because of the stuff. I've told him, you can go pick me dandelions. You can go to the store. You don't even have to buy me a rose, a carnation. They used to be 50 cents. They're probably $1.50 now. I don't know. But it's not the gift. It's that he was thinking about me and trying to figure out what I would like. Or it doesn't even have to be much of anything. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be something I really, really like. Dandelions are okay. It's the thought behind it that he thought of me when I wasn't there and he wanted to do something for me. So for me, the gifts is not about spending money on me. So he struggles with the gift giving. It's been a big struggle. And also me with the words of affirmation is a big struggle. Now we both have been getting better. It's taken us more years than it should have. So, I think that's a lot behind this channel, is I really want to spare other people the challenges that I've gone through. And I've gone through these challenges because nobody told me this stuff. Now you can get 1,000 different self-help books. I don't waste my money on self-help books. I can read my Bible, and the more I read my Bible, the better our marriage gets. The more he leans in, the better our marriage gets. So the Bible is the only real self-help book that we need, or good quality books about biblical topics. But you got to be really careful, because there's a lot of people out there that make things seem biblical. They sound biblical, because if we don't know the Bible, the more I read the Bible, the more I realize how many people are saying things that aren't biblically accurate, and Scripture actually teaches pretty much the exact opposite. So that's enough on that right now. So if you're newly married, spend the time really getting to know your spouse, working on your communication before you have children is ideal. We had our child very quickly. I mean, he was born 11 months after we were married. We were older, so we decided not to wait in case there were issues. We still have a little bit of time, but since we were both older and neither one had children, we decided not to wait. I love our son. I'm glad we have our son, but ideally, looking back now, it would have been nice to have more time. Yeah. So I'm not saying you should prevent pregnancy for that. I'm just saying the more you invest in your marriage before there are children, the easier it will be once you have children to keep the things up, because life does change. I know when you're first in love, first married, and everything is wonderful, it doesn't seem like you need to do a lot of this stuff, but you do, because life happens. And the more work you do up front when there isn't problems, when problems arise, it's going to be easier to get through them. If you wait until there's a crisis, not necessarily a crisis, it may be something small, but the more you wait until that, the harder it is to get through it. So work up front. That would be my best advice if you have just gotten married, are getting married. Set yourself up the best you can, so when life does throw you challenges, you've already got some weapons, so to speak. Like, how you're going to deal with things, what your values are, like if there's a disagreement, how are you going to come back together? How are you going to discuss these things? That kind of like weapons of dealing with problems. So I want to thank you for listening to this. I hope this helped somebody. If you would like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. If you think somebody else could benefit from this, please share it and get the word out. My goal is to help ladies set them up for success in their marriage. And when our marriages are better, more successful, our families thrive, and our lives are just abundantly better. And that is what I wish and hope and pray for every single one of you. So my name is Sherry, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye.